The Unlovely Truth discusses what happens at the intersection of faith and true crime, so some of our topics may be difficult for young or sensitive listeners. Please use discretion. Most of us have heard of the tragic story of Polly Klaas, the 12-year-old girl from Petaluma, California, who was abducted from her home on October 1st, 1993, and killed by Richard Allen Davis. For over 2 months, thousands of people from the area volunteered to search for her. Popular television shows like 2020 and America's Most Wanted featured details about her case. The World Wide Web was truly becoming worldwide by 1993, and 2 Petaluma residents came to the police telling them that Polly's missing child poster could be made digital, an innovation in the handling of missing persons cases that Time magazine would write a story about, titled A High-Tech Dragnet. The idea would come to save many missing children, but not Polly. In late November, items connected to Polly were discovered by loggers, and a massive search was launched that included personnel from 24 different agencies. It seemed that Polly's story was being told all over the world. But if you're like me, you probably haven't heard of the equally tragic story of Georgia Lee Moses. She was also 12, also from Petaluma, and was abducted and murdered in 1997. It's hard to find much information about Georgia at all. Let's look at the similarities and the differences between the 2 cases to see if we can find out why. Welcome to episode 48 of The Unlovely Truth. Polly and Georgia were both 12, both bright, and both loved by their families. Both lived in Petaluma, California at the time of their abduction and murder. That's where the similarities end. Polly was white and middle class. Georgia was poor and black. Polly's parents were divorced, but provided her with a stable home life nonetheless. Georgia's single mother was not able to fully care for herself and relied on Georgia to take on a lot of adult responsibilities. One major difference that I believe played a huge role in the official response to Georgia's disappearance is the fact that Georgia would sometimes run away from home. It was easy for authorities to write her off as a troublesome chronic runaway, rather than respond to her as a missing child. But when you consider the fact that Georgia had been responsible for taking care of herself since the age of 7 at the latest, and also had the responsibility of caring for her mother and younger sister, it seems that Georgia was probably attempting to escape a workload that no child should have to bear. And really, even if she was a chronic runaway, she was only 12 years old. Police should have been looking for her. Social service agencies and school authorities should have been intervening in her troubled home situation. These organizations and others are supposed to be safety nets for at-risk children. There was no search for Georgia Lee Moses the way there was for Polly Klaas. There were no stories on popular television shows. There was no combining of resources from multiple agencies to investigate the convicted child molester who had moved into the family home as a supposed boyfriend of Georgia's mother. Musician Tom Waits was raised in Pomona, California. Something about Georgia's story moved him. He wrote a song called Georgia Lee. It's slow and sad, with a chorus that asks, why wasn't God watching? Why wasn't God listening? Why wasn't God there for Georgia Lee? Honestly, these aren't bad questions, but I really think they're the wrong questions. God often intervenes in troubled circumstances through the faithfulness of people like you and me. And if we aren't faithful, terrible things can happen. Georgia had a mother who was obviously not capable of doing the things that a mom of a young girl needs to do. Someone needed to step in and give support to the family. As we saw, Georgia's school wasn't effective in giving Georgia what she needed. Social services from the government did not step in to give Georgia what she needed. The police didn't do everything they could have done to make a difference. I don't know if any local churches tried. I hope they did. If we as the church would step up to lead our neighborhoods in service to its people, think how much less reliance on these other groups would have been needed. The book of James says it so well in chapter 1, verse 27a. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after widows and orphans in their distress. Georgia Lee Moses was, for all practical purposes, an orphan. She had little to no adult guidance while she was still very much a child. Is there a Georgia Lee in your neighborhood? If there is, I challenge you to find a way to get her what she needs before it's too late. The Unlovely Truth is written and produced by me, Lori Morrison. Music is by Neocortex and artwork is by Shelby Highland. Please share this episode to help educate people on yet another area of true crime where the average person can make a difference. I hope that by making more people aware that George's case is still open, someone with information will come forward. And just as important as solving the cold case, there's another way you can help. Become a mentor to an at-risk child, whether it's through your church or a public services agency in your area. We need more people to take an active role in the lives of children so we can prevent further tragedies like what happened to Georgia Lee Moses. You can check out my website for links to more information about Georgia's case, or check out my show notes. See you all next time.